Hello, everyone. Blue Star Saber here once again to do another Star Wars: The Bad Batch review, Seasons 2, Episode 5, also called The Entombed, which I think I called it something else last thing. That's what I get from mispronouncing it. But anyway, this is the fifth episode of the second season and the 21st episode overall. Last episode we had a tech episode with like Wrecker and Echo, along with Sid tagging along, possibly building up some tension of when the Bad Batch might lead Sid eventually. And let's see that little droid played by let's see Temo and all that stuff. That was funny, which I wish stayed in the cast, but unfortunately got destroyed. But either way, we'll find out what. Let's see. Well, but during that, let's see Hunter and Echo absent for the episode. Would this one be the following the adventures? Well, sadly not. But what would it be? Instead, it'll be following this new character we introduced in the first episode with the Bad Batch. Let's find out. So, yeah. So the episode begins with Wrecker and Omega searching the junkyard for spare compressor and all that stuff, and they managed to find one in an LAAT gunship. Well, let's see. Omega finds some weird ball shapes inside objects inside it. So, yeah. Let's see. So, this is the first sign to me that we will not be doing like a Hunter and Echo episode, which I was greatly disappointed by the fact. I thought they would have done that, but now it was just a way of just get them out of the last episode. Who knows? Maybe there will be some episode like that. I mean, these two have been having a bit of a tension conflict of like let's see of what to do with it and whether or not how involved they should be in the fight against the Empire. But I guess that'll be for later. But anyway, they head back to like Sid's joint where Janon is recounting some tale of fighting this creature called an Octomorph to recover this sort of Grand Pearl of Navarre to let's see, idiot duo of the Euphorium Bolo and the Weequay Ketch, who are regular customers at Sid's bar and all that stuff. And let's see, with like Echo, Hunter, and Tech commenting about how she changes the story every time, which of course gives insight that she is exaggerating and lying, and but which makes sense for like a pirate. I think this is probably gives us an idea of this character. Is like she exaggerates her stories, and you can't tell when she's actually telling the truth because she could be making it up along the way, or there might be some truth in it. Now, but of course, the two idiots believe it. But anyway, so Omega and Echo show what they found and all that stuff, with Wrecker returning the compressor, with her showing all the relics. But at first, it looks to be a bunch of broken scrap. But Gino recognizes one of the objects as a compressor for coordinates and has a droid meld, this sort of like a power gun like droid, but a bit more sphere and circle. And I kind of do like that. We've got other designs for that type of droid models and all that stuff because I feels like the cube sort of like gunk droids, the ones that we always end up getting, the ones that always end up being slow in the Lego games, unless you activate a cheat code that makes them run super fast. So yeah, but yeah. But apparently, she realizes it's coordinates for this thing called the Calendar Trinity system, and let's see, he doesn't. Tech was skeptical about this system because it remains uncharted, but she says, best treasures often are, and to be fair, that's probably true. The treasures are places you haven't gone to yet or not been mapped out. So yeah, the Bad Batch end up discussing about this, and I think let's see, they eventually decide to agree, though Hunter, of course, is the most reluctant. But I do like how each member pushes on, and Phoebe being cocky, saying, this time you have an expert on the thing, and a bit of a callback to their last time of stealing Dooku's treasure, which, to be fair, does make sense. They would try to find alternatives to the finances and all that stuff, since, well, let's see, as Sid points out, eventually they're going to have to move out of the operations will eventually have to be closed, and they need their own sort of like alternative methods. So yeah. So they end up journeying to the thing, in which Omega is, of course, excited about it. Hunter, of course, is skeptical. Of course, during the thing, Jenna offers like 50-50 on the thing. Yeah, I should have mentioned that it was Wrecker being the most supportive, Echo reminding of the last thing, but yeah. And then, and all that, Hunter complies, but yeah. As they're traveling on the Marauder, Fritzy, Jenna interrogates herself. Well, let's see, integrates, I believe the Wookiee describes it, but she's pretty much just telling her stories to Omega about how she's traveled to many uncharted worlds and all that stuff for adventures. Hunter believes in calling herself some sort of treasure hunter. The hunter, of course, calls her a pirate, but she refers to herself as a liberator of ancient treasures. As she goes on more to her stories on Omega, particularly this blade of Sakar Pa, while Hunter just leaves annoyed and all that stuff. And I will admit, I do sort of like the fact that, okay, yes, this is expected of Omega. She's while she is technically older than the other Bad Batch clones, they've had, their age accelerated, and even to an extent their maturity, if you will. So Hunter would be the more cynical adult because, of Jenna's profession, while Omega would be a bit naive and believing just about nearly everything she says, like a sort of kid would, even though she's quite smart, but she does want to believe those adventures. So, of course, she continues to believe them, even when she probably shouldn't and all that stuff. I do like how Jenna tries to play her words like she is a pirate, but it's like, oh, I'm a liberator, to make it look like she's not too bad and all that stuff. But yeah. But anyway, they land on the planet, and the place is completely lifeless, and apparently it's in charge of any vegetation, if you will. It's like completely like dust and ash, like it's gone through some sort of like volcanic apocalypse, if you will. I do like that. This is like a dead world and all that stuff. Like, might be one of the reasons why you couldn't find it, where you couldn't why there's no life forms that gone off to explore the galaxy, because it seems like whatever life that did exist here, for the most part, is dead and all that stuff. But yeah. Eventually, their compass makes a sound that points them towards south, and they take it. And they're stuck by a mountain. Though Jenna discovers that the compass is telling them to go inside, and she bursts through rocks with like Wrecker's help. Nearly closes in on them, but they manage to avoid it and enter inside. But while this is happening, they are watched by this sort of fanged reptile, if you will. At least that's the wiki describes it. It's some sort of grey-skinned alien with red eyes, sharp-teeth claws, long tail. It has some horns on the side. I do like the design of it, I will admit. It is some sort of like long arms and all that stuff, from which it would grab Wrecker and all that stuff ever. It shows just a sort of reach of a creature and all that stuff, pointing out of holes. Shows just how dangerous it can be for the Bad Batch. Granted, I really do wish that Star Wars would eventually name these creatures, but then again, all these new identified creatures probably don't get named in these one-off episodes. I mean, it's not like with the movies where, particularly in Attack of the Clones, where that reek creature from, that horn sort of rhino-like creature was named in the adverts. That I believe my brother had the toy too, but yeah, lucky him. But anyway, so yeah. Well, they're going inside. Of course, they they're doing all these kind of puzzles. One of them is like a draw or push circle kind of things to make a pattern. Of course, they end up making a mistake first time, and another boulder ends up harming Wrecker. But which causes Hunts to get more and more mad at Fee as time goes on, and this is probably going to be a recurring habit, but let's see. But this sort of like let's see, Angus Hunter. So I do like that sort of tension, but yeah. But interesting that when the legend of Sakal Na and all that stuff. Let's see, and it's apparently apparently it predates the Jedi and all that stuff. So yeah, and the treasure's called the Heart of the Mountain, which not the most original name, but it does sound something more like a fantasy adventure. But yeah, let's see. So but yeah, but it is interesting that we are doing an archaeology find in something that predates the Jedi Order and Star Wars, which I think both in Disney canon and EU legends is at least 25,000 years, more than 25,000 years ago, as that's when the Jedi Order was founded and all that stuff. So yeah, eventually, let's see, Omega using the compass to see lights on like the panel push button thing, the panel push it. Panels, let's see, there's some symbols on them, and realizes that they're marked and all that stuff, and gets the others to correctly put the patterns together, which they all need to line up, if you will. And yeah, eventually enters an entrance to walk in and all that stuff, with Juno telling that her gunk droid Mel to wait outside while she and the clones enter. As they enter it, with Hunter being the last one in, as she explains that it's apparently some crystalline stone, which is a key to apparently some sort of ancient power, if you will. And interesting, when the droid was left behind, I figured it was going to be destroyed by the creature that they end up fighting throughout the episode, but that was not the case. But yeah. But I do like a bit more how Thea described this legend and all that stuff, and I do like how granted, let's see, Omega has the compass, so I do like how she's being. Let's see, since she's the one being most excited for the adventure. So arguably, this is probably a Omega episode, but I'm just using Hunter because I don't have an image of Omega. But yeah, who knows? My avatar, but yeah. But so yeah, I do like how let's see, since she's the most enthusiastic for this, she's the one that's finding out the clues. So yeah, I thought that's nice. But yeah, as Tech is reporting on like the analyzing all the minerals and the stones, it does predate the Republic. So whether or not Hunt tells Hunter whether or not he likes it or not, let's see, there is some truth to what she is saying and all that stuff. But before they can debate on it, the monster attacks and grabs Wrecker. They manage to fight back and free him, of course, but he ends up and even ripping off one of its horn rings, which Wrecker does. Ends up causing a rock, splitting them between Wrecker, Tech, and Echo, while Hunter and Omega and, let's see, Fee are together. And so yeah, I do like it. Let's see, it's no surprise that they have made the creature go after Wrecker, because arguably he's the only one that could probably survive it. If it was a regular clone, they'd probably die, as we've seen many times when clones get ambushed by creatures in the Clone Wars. So yeah, he's the only one that could arguably survive that. I do like how he rips off a horn from it and keeps on to it for a bit, but yeah. Anyway, I do like how the episode, let's see, despite Hunter's skepticism, has, let's see, due to Echo's analyzing, yeah, she might be telling somewhat the truth this time. But yeah. Now, as for the split up, I think it's pretty obvious that they did this. I mean, let's see, Omega, the enthusiastic adventurer, Hunter, the skeptic, and Fee, the untrusted pirate in one group, and the rest of the Bad Batch as the extras, really. And sadly, they don't get too much. I mean, it's mostly an Echo, Fee, and Hunter episode, if you will. But yeah, so the comlink and all that stuff. But yeah, but at least for like the other Bad Batch members, due to that creature's whole tunneling and all that stuff, they'll be able to find another alternative route to meet up with them. But yeah. And then there, as those three use the tunnels to rendezvous with them and all that stuff. Well, Gino says how they will continue hunting the treasure, which gets a skeptical look from Hunter, but she says, that's what they are here for. So, yeah, they will travel with it and all that stuff. But yeah. But during the which they end up getting some sort of tunnel group and all that stuff, and let's see, Gino and Omega spot some sort of markings, I think mostly with the compass and all that stuff, and they realize that Hunter is walking in a trap as he walks, and as he steps by, he nearly falls into his death, grabs the hook thing, but Gino helps him up and all that stuff, and this is the point. Hunter, at this point, no longer getting angry that this is the third time they nearly died and all that stuff due to her, so they sort of argue into let's see, but while Mega's trying to figure out how they could walk across the ceiling and all that stuff during this, in fact, this is arguably what caused the conflict, even though Gino just talks about her own sort of previous adventures, but he's having none of that. But Omega finds this the thing that there's this thing that the compass needs. There's this panel that the compass attaches to, spins it around a bit, and the tunnel turns upside down. She can no longer access the compass afterwards, but V ends up saying that it served its purpose, and they walk past. In many ways, I figured it was going to be some sort of Temple of Doom. Last Crusade sort of what of God kind of thing, where they need to spell the name of God and all that stuff. So they sort of but no, and they need to start matching the steps on the side, but no, it's actually turnarounds, which I thought was a bit clever of doing it. So it's clearly some sort of gritty Indiana Jones reference. In fact, arguably, this whole episode is a sort of Indiana Jones style kind of treasure hunting adventure. But yeah. So, but here it's this is a homage to the Last Crusade. But yeah, I do kind of like how Hunter's getting a bit more fed up with it. Let's see, and becomes a bit more skeptical when the compass is gone. But I do like how V says that it served its purpose, and to be fair, afterwards they're pretty much close to where they are with the end goal at this point. So yeah. Meanwhile, you have the Bad Batch, other members of the Bad Batch, just talking about stuff with Tech commenting about how something's interfering with his scanner, and Wrecker's being a bit paranoid about some movement, thinking it might be the creature, but Echo is being you're being paranoid because of what happened to you. Of course, they quickly reunite, and I am a little disappointed they didn't get some little mini adventure thing themselves, but I guess there wasn't enough time for the episode, but yeah. But then inside of Vault door and all that stuff, and Tech wonders if it's some sort of puzzle, but let's see, Janelle just points out that sometimes it's just a regular door and it just unlocks it. And they end up seeing the crystal of the heart on the mountain way below. As she climbs down to claim it, opens it and all that stuff. But as soon as she does remove it, it ends up causing a trigger that turns the whole location to lights and ends up moving and changing structure, with a Bad Batch lot trying to go inside. Now, on one hand, this is also clearly an Indiana Jones sort of reference, if you will, or any just adventure movie, if you will, where I do like just how at first the door things Ritzy due to maybe a bit of a subvert of expectations, where people are ooh, what complicated puzzle is this? No, it's just a door, so I like that. But yeah, but it's clearly with this next bit is clearly some sort of reference to the first Indiana Jones opening sea of moving the treasure and all that stuff, but instead of switching with a sandbag, open it and ooh, booby trap activated, or some sort of unknown trap activated, and it turns out to be some sort of let's see, hon. Let's see, the skull, the skull snot. Let's see, The thing is called the skull now turns out to be some sort of ancient like walker weapon and all that stuff. That some sort of four-legged creature with a long neck, if you will. That seems to be what it's based off. And it's a giant war machine that blasts some energy thing, implying that this is the thing that probably wiped out the life forms on this planet, if you will. So yeah, and of course there's a lot of damage and all that stuff, which as a result, Tech proposes that they need to put the key back in order to deactivate it. Fee, of course, wants to keep the treasure and doesn't give it up. But Hunter, pretty much being the voice of reason, saying that if the machine destroys the ship, they'll be trapped on the planet, and the treasure will be pretty much worthless because, well, she can't sell it, and not to mention, she probably end up like dying on this planet and all that stuff. So yeah, so her life is more her life is probably more value, but she reluctantly agrees but decides to make it a favor for the Bad Batch. And yeah, this is probably typical behavior of what I expect of Fee at this point being a pirate, but I do like how Hunter is the one that's being the most skeptic, saying, voice of reading, like, we need to get off this planet, and if this war machine destroys it, we're stuck here. So yeah. But yeah, I do like the design of it. It's sort of like it does feel like an ancient robot and all that stuff. There's sort of like elegance to it and all that stuff. Anyways, it kind of reminds me of those sort of like robots you kind of saw in the Old Republic, some later, expansion packs when you're doing like the Skrull Empire and all that stuff. So yeah, I thought that was a bit interesting and how it did it, but yeah. So I did quite like that, and then I do some sort of like maybe it's like I don't know. If I describe it as a giraffe, I feel like I'm making it seem less intimidating, but sort of like long neck kind of thing, sort of like Walker. In many ways, it's like a sort of pre-standard ATTA or TAAT Walker. I don't know. The standard. The Imperial Walkers, pretty much. My Star Wars trivia knowledge is being tested and I'm failing right now. So, yeah, that's just shame on me, but yeah. But yeah, I wonder if that might be where I got the... I wonder if it might be a concept art for from that, or at least that might be what this ancient thing has been designed by. But while they are trying to stop the... giant war machine. The fan creature returns into the command center, and causes the heart thing to fall down, which Fee ends up getting it, while the Bad Batch ends up fighting it and all that stuff. And she nearly falls out to her doom, but she ends up being, saved by Hunter. And I do like how, despite the differences and lack of trust with each other, Hunter does end up saving it. Granted, they do need the key, but still. But anyway, during the whole fight with the Bad Batch, they're all firing lasers and Omega firing bows. And I do like how she's quite accurate with her shots and all that stuff. Unfortunately, it drives the creature to her. But Wrecker ends up pummeling it and trying to grab it and all that stuff. And I do like how he saves her quite a bit. And I will admit, forgot to mention, I did like the sort of big brother sister-like relationship the two had early in the episode. I do like how the two work together to get rid of it, as Wrecker has a blast, one of the eyeglass shields for that the machine has, while he throws the creature outside, presumably killing it from that distance. During this, I should probably mention that Mel, while slowly running away from the laser cannons, eventually gets caught in the blast. So it's like I figured, oh, he's gonna survive this. Oh no, he died, kind of thing. But I will get to that a bit later. And eventually, machine arrives, aims at the Marauder, and Tech is struggling to try and shut it down. But then, of course, the heart of the mountain key arrives, and with both Tech and Omega putting it in, I believe, it shuts down. And interesting, the stone ends up melting and somehow trigger the self-destruct mechanism. I'm not sure if that was always how it was designed that way, but it could be the fact they put it in a certain way and it causes self-destruction. But I don't know. It seems kind of weird how the thing to turn it off and then on, then back off again ends up causing it to self-destruct. But yeah, it ends up crashing down. I do like how it slowly does and all that stuff. So yeah. And let's see, they do survive. But yeah, the machine is destroyed and they're safe as they're walking back. And as they just come out of the thing, and you get Tech doing a funny, let's see, remark. It's probably a serious thing, but it's probably a joke, really. But should be taken as a joke. How it's 2-0 for them on their failed treasure hunting, even with a professional, which gets a sort of a, let's see, Fee a sort of dirty look. So yeah. Let's see, but Omega is just satisfied that the fact that they've managed to found the heart of the mountain, and that Fee was saying, and the legend was real. So, showing that and in many ways, it's a positive way of looking at the adventure. It's not. Let's see, though some might not like the whole. It's not the treasure; it's the adventure and all that stuff, or all that stuff. But yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like, they didn't get a treasure, but they were able to prove that, at least to themselves, that the legend did exist. Granted, they will have no proof of it, but in the classic adventure thing, you're just happy to have the adventure, if you will. But yeah, I do like Tech's sass and all that. So, anyway, as they end up departing, let's see. Hunter at least comments that, well, at least no one can use the weapon, which, let's see, Fee tries to say, so it's a good thing we came along to try and justify this adventure just for future ones that they might go, which Hunter might be reluctant to, but yeah. Anyway, even though they make kind of make a sort of deal about the whole Mel being destroyed thing, it's written off as no big deal as she has a backup thing, which on one hand, Fee has a backup of Mel, which on one hand clever, but it does seem like it's a current trend of like even droids can't be permanently destroyed these days, except for like K2S2, I think. Let's see, Han. Let me just K2S. Oh, which okay, yeah, except for K2SO and like the Bat and like Rogue One. So yeah. So yeah, so we'll probably see that droid again and all that stuff, and but anyway, but the episode ends with let's see, Fee telling Omega about this. Let's see, she had us lead on this ancient chalice that belonged to this kingdom called Elysia, which she gets excited for, and it's implying that they should go on this adventure immediately afterwards, and Omega's excited. But Hunter, of course, remains skeptical in the end, as, let's see, even though Omega is pretty much dead set on going on this adventure as they depart the planet and all that stuff. So it's like, I do like how Fee's clearly never changed, and despite Hunter's, let's see, often remains skepticism, Omega just still is enthusiastic for adventure. And given the fact that there was some truth in this one, likely going to go on a few more with Fee. So yeah, we'll probably have a few more Fee adventures, though. Yeah, hopefully a lot less, probably fillerish in this one. But yeah, that ends the episode. Overall, this is arguably the most filler episode of season 2, and arguably probably the weakest episode so far. The first episode was a two-parter to re-establish, to get to re-establish the Bad Batch together, and you did have some nice bonding moments with Omega and Echo, giving finally some character moments between the two, and giving some spotlight with Echo. Third episode still remains the best, with like Crosshair with Cody and learning all that stuff. And the fourth episode, while also a bit fillerish, it does delve more into Sid's past, and you got Tech and being the focus on Tech. This one it's just a standard Bad Batch adventure, but this time with the new character Fee, who, let's see. So yeah, it doesn't really, in a sort of Indiana Jones style treasure hunt adventure, if you will. Which makes sense that Lucasfilm would do this because, well, it pretty much got the most famous adventure archaeologist of all time in this US pop culture and all that stuff. There are probably others from like predating the 1930s, but but everyone just remembers Indiana Jones. Really, face it. Let's just say that. But yeah. But interesting enough. So yeah. So I did like how we got to see this sort of ancient weapon thing that was but ancient war machine before the time of the Republic and Jedi. So I kind of like that though. Too bad we don't have enough details to have it, and I doubt we're ever going to explore this planet again, even with Disney EU stuff. So who knows? I could be wrong, but yeah. But who knows? Maybe that might lead to more clues. But yeah, I do like how Hunter decides at least that thing is destroyed, so nothing like the Empire could grab it and all that stuff. But yeah, but pretty much this episode is mostly to get you to learn about the character Fee Genoa and all that stuff, and which, since she's going to be a recurring character in the season and all that stuff. So yeah, so a few treasure hunting episodes. Who knows? Whether or not she's going to play a more part in the more bigger ones, I do not know. But this is getting to know her. How she seemed, you can't really trust what she says in treasure hunting, at least from when in the beginning of the episode. The conflict, let's see how Omega is set up to admire her, Hunter to remain skeptical, and Bad Batch either being somewhere in between, or at least game for at least treasure hunting and all that stuff to help them to found finances. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, at least being open to the idea that she's telling the truth more than Hunter. But yeah. Now, how you like this episode will really depend on how you feel about Fee, and all that stuff. I think for the most part she's a fun character, but I wouldn't be surprised if some Star Wars fans think if they don't like her, think she's a bit generic or at least stereotypical. I don't know. Or maybe some other, let's see, less I don't know, I'm not going to go there, but yeah. But yeah, so I can see some Star Wars fans just thinking she's a pointless character, but we'll see. Hopefully, if they're introducing her, she's going to play a bit more of a major role in more plot-driven episodes later down this season. But yeah, granted, some might just say she's just been used as an added female cast. But to be fair, I can understand why they might wish to do that because, well, you only really have Omega as the main female cast and Sid as the only other recurring female character. And not to mention the Kaminoans seem to be gone for a bit. But yeah. Overall, I'd say this episode is like a 6 to 7 out of 10. It's okay to good kind of thing. It's a filler episode, really. You're not going to lose much sleep over it. It's pretty much just introducing the character Fee. You can love it or hate it that way. And it really depends on how you feel about the character. Cool learning about this ancient war machine thing, but sadly I feel like it's not going to be delved in too much, and it's just a one-off adventure. Like the homages to, of course, the Indiana Jones. So yeah. Anyway, next episode is titled Tribe. So I assume that we're going to deal with some sort of alien race, or at least might be some more like a clone-related thing. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Oh no, we might cut back to Crosser, but who knows? But then again, they might be saving that for. Let's see. What I believe is that because after episode 6, there'll be the two parts on February 8th, the clone conspiracy and truth and consequences, which I think will probably lead to let's see what was going on with that Kaminoan scientist from the end of the last season's cliffhanger. But overall, I enjoyed this episode. For those who end up listening and enjoying what I had to say, I hope you had a fun time, even if you're only listening in the background. I look forward to seeing you again in the next set of next week's episode. Anyway, I am Blue Star Saber, signing off. Thank you for joining me, and goodbye. May the Force be with you. Bye-bye.